A number of years ago, a truly excellent re-recording mixer, someone whose ears I trust implicitly, summed up his entire philosophy on reverb with just 4 words. Bank 1, patch A. He meant quite simply, load the plugin, engage it, and move forward. If you're new here, my name is Tom, and over the last couple of decades I've spent my working life in mixing rooms, working on television programs, documentaries, feature films, the odd bit of music, and I share these thoughts because they're practical observations from someone who has had to deliver under real deadlines, not theoretical ideas. If any of this resonates or indeed provokes, feel free to subscribe and leave some comments. It's the best way to stay in touch. It really helps out the channel. Now, reverb. Let's begin what it actually is for clarity. Reverb is an audio effect designed to simulate the natural acoustic behavior of sound in a physical environment, whether that's a small living room, a concert hall, a cavern, or a cathedral. It achieves this by generating a cascade of decaying reflections, early reflections that give a sense of immediate space, and longer tails that convey depth and atmosphere. In music, it prevents instruments and voices from sounding unnaturally close and dry, as though they're pressed against a loudspeaker. In post-production, it helps dialogue on effects sit believably within a scene. Guitarists use it to create ambience. Film sound designers use it to sell location. It's an indispensable tool, and yet I've never felt the urge to obsess over it. I know colleagues, highly skilled, thoughtful engineers who will devote entire afternoons for comparing impulse responses, debating the merits of different algorithms, and tuning pre-delay and diffusion parameters with the precision of an architect. They treat reverb as a discipline unto itself, almost a form of acoustic archaeology. And if that brings you satisfaction, then by all means pursue it. There's real value in that level of care. But for my own part, however, I've always favoured simplicity. A well-chosen halt or plate algorithm, something classic and musical, placed on an aux bus set fully wet with a return level adjusted by ear until it sits correctly. That's typically where I stop. The rationale is straightforward. Most of my work is schedule-driven. A television episode, a commercial, a film under a deadline. Get it sounding emotionally truthful, document the settings, move to the next track. Revisions are always possible. This isn't laziness, it's pragmatism born of experience. I found that over-manipulating reverb often leads to diminishing returns. The ears tire, the context shifts. What seemed amazing at 2 AM can feel awful when you listen back in the morning. That said, reverb has its moments of genuine utility. For instance, in music mixing, a generous tail can transform an abrupt ending into something poignant, an artificial but convincing fade into silence. In dialogue replacement, a subtle room ambience can anchor ADR to the picture. I've used it countless times on lifestyle programs, cooking shows for instance, where kitchen dialogue needed to feel as though it was captured live. Amid clattering pans and extractor fans, a short reverb, perhaps with a hint of slapback, can help it blend into the setting. But there was one occasion when I allowed myself the luxury of experimentation, because unusually time permitted it. I was working on a feature for ITV. It was a show presented by Sir Trevor MacDonald, a countdown of the nation's most cherished landmarks. One sequence focused on Cheddar Gorge in Somerset. Sweeping drone footage, motorbikes carving through the dramatic limestone cliffs, the landscape vast and ancient. I laid in additional motorcycle effects, revs, tyre noise, and routed them through a particularly cavernous reverb preset I'd encountered. I increased the wet signal, let the reflections decay laterally, resisted the impulse to tame it too much, and in the context of that montage, it worked remarkably well. The sound acquired scale. One could almost feel the stone walls closing in, and then opening out again. The sequence breathed. For perhaps the only time in my career, playing with reverb felt like genuine creative enjoyment. It took about 25 minutes to do. The broader lesson, I suppose, is reverb is most effective when it is required. It's service to the material. Introduce it, listen critically, withdraw it if it begins to sound obscure enough rather than enhance. Trust your ears above any analyzer or preset library. Some will read or hear this and consider it dismissive, perhaps even philistine, a disregard for psychoacoustics. My perspective is less scientific and more philosophical. I have little interest in the physics of reflection coefficients or the model behavior of virtual spaces. What matters to me is the emotional response. Does the result move something within the listener? Does it serve the intent of the piece? Does it give me goosebumps? This approach has sustained a career. Clients return, projects get delivered. I seem to have managed so far. Ultimately though, audio work is personal. If deep parametric exploration lights you up, well, good on you. Embrace it. The field is wide enough for all approaches. If you like more reflections of this kind, honest, practical insights from someone still working in the rooms, do consider subscribing. Check out my Substack or my website in the links in the description. I write other articles and share details of current projects. Thank you for your time and attention. I'd be genuinely interested to hear your thoughts in the comments. And are you someone who revels in reverb experimentation? Or do you, like me, prefer the direct route? No judgment either way. Until next time, take care.